Harvest of new beginnings. It was early October, and the autumn air was crisp as Lila strolled through the quaint cherry orchard, her senses alive with the smell of ripened fruit and the sound of laughter drifting from nearby pickers. The season had just begun, and being among the colorful trees made her feel grounded and at peace. It was her favorite time of year, and the perfect way to start her fall to-do list, which she filled with activities that celebrated her love for autumn. While reaching for another cherry to add to her basket, she noticed movement in a nearby tree, followed by giggles. Smiling, Lila went back to her picking, letting the vibrant atmosphere soak in. Suddenly, she felt a tiny bump against her leg. Looking down, she saw a young girl with strawberry blonde curls, peeking up with wide eyes before ducking behind her legs, laughing. "Well, hello there, little one," Lila said, smiling. "Where's your mom?" The girl giggled and pointed to a nearby tree. Lila looked up and felt her breath catch. Emerging from behind the branches was a woman with the same strawberry blonde hair, smiling apologetically as she approached. "I'm so sorry," the woman said, her voice warm. "My daughter here. She's taken to being quite the little explorer today. I hope she wasn't bothering you." Lila shook her head, smiling. "Not at all. She's adorable. Are you both enjoying the orchard?" The little girl, whose name was Nina, poked her head out, announcing, "Mama's making cherry jam and pie. I love pie." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Lila couldn't help but laugh. "Yes, Nina here loves the orchard almost as much as she loves her desserts," the woman replied, introducing herself as Harper. They chatted for a bit, exchanging stories and recipes, their conversation easy and comfortable. Before they knew it, they were helping each other fill baskets and discussing all the things they planned to make from their haul. After a while, Nina grew tired and yawned, rubbing her eyes as she leaned against Lila's leg. Lila knelt down, her voice gentle. "Want me to carry you back to your mom?" Harper nodded, trusting, and Lila scooped Nina up, the little girl quickly settling into her arms. They made their way to the orchard's main area, where the owner offered hot cider and homemade cherry treats. After a few snacks and a lively conversation, Harper mentioned they were new to town, just moving to the countryside for a fresh start. "Good choice," Lila said, grinning. "Fall here is the best, especially with traditions like this. And if you ever need help settling in, I'm just a few miles away." They spent the rest of the day enjoying the scenery, the kids playing nearby, and the casual conversation that flowed easily between them. As they packed up to head home, Harper hesitated a moment before asking, "So any chance you'd like to meet up again, maybe for a fall picnic or some pie baking lessons?" Lila's heart leaped, her face lighting up as she agreed. She knew this fall season would always stand out in her memories, especially for the day she met Harper and Nina. With their baskets full and hearts even fuller, they parted ways, each knowing they'd found something more than cherries among the trees. A few days later, Lila received a text from Harper inviting her over for that promised baking session. She smiled at the screen, feeling a flutter of excitement. It was a rare feeling, this comfortable, natural sense of connection that had blossomed so unexpectedly at the orchard. She quickly replied, confirming that she'd bring over a few ingredients and her favorite pie recipe. The next day, as Lila drove through the scenic countryside to Harper's small, cozy home, She couldn't help but feel grateful for this chance encounter. The road was lined with trees turning brilliant shades of gold and crimson, and Lila took it as a good omen. When she arrived, Harper opened the door with a warm smile, and Nina came running out, squealing with excitement. "Lila! Lila!" Nina cheered, reaching up with her little hands. Lila laughed and scooped her up, receiving an enthusiastic hug. Harper led them into the kitchen, which was already set up for baking. The aroma of warm spices and fresh apples filled the air, mixing with the soft notes of the folk music playing in the background. It felt both inviting and homely, and Lila's nerves softened as she slipped into the rhythm of the afternoon. They started by prepping the ingredients, Nina happily helping by taste testing the sugar and poking her fingers into the dough when she thought no one was watching. Harper was patient, laughing off each tiny interruption, and Lila admired her gentle way with Nina, feeling her fondness grow even more. As they worked, Harper shared stories about her life in the city and why she'd decided to move. She'd needed a change, a slower pace that would let her focus on Nina and rediscover a sense of peace. City life just didn't feel right anymore, Harper admitted, her gaze thoughtful. "I wanted Nina to grow up knowing the colors of fall and the feeling of a real community." Lila nodded, feeling a deep empathy. She understood that longing for simplicity. "I think you made the right choice," she replied. "I moved here a few years ago for something similar. There's something about the countryside that makes you feel like you belong to something bigger, but kinder." They shared a look of understanding, and for a moment, the conversation lapsed into a comfortable silence. Nina's chatter filled the space as they assembled the pie, her little fingers patting the crust with careful, if messy, precision. Finally, they slid the pie into the oven, and Lila felt a wave of contentment as they waited for it to bake, sipping tea and talking about favorite fall memories and plans for the coming season. When the timer finally rang, the kitchen was filled with the rich aroma of apple pie. Harper pulled it out of the oven, and Nina clapped her hands in excitement. They all sat down to enjoy the warm, golden dessert, laughter and stories filling the air. As the sun began to dip low in the sky, casting a golden glow across Harper's yard, Lila felt a quiet hope that this wouldn't be the last time they'd share a moment like this. Before she left, Harper walked her to her car, a soft smile playing on her lips. "Thank you, Lila, for today. It's been a while since I felt, well, this at home with someone." "Me too," Lila replied, her voice barely a whisper. They lingered for a moment, the silence filled with unspoken understanding. "Maybe we can plan something again soon?" Harper asked, her tone hopeful. "I'd like that," Lila said, feeling her heart warm with the promise of more days like these. And as she drove away, watching the last light of day dip below the trees, Lila knew that this fall was different. She'd gained a friend, a connection, and perhaps even the beginning of something more. Over the next few weeks, Lila and Harper found themselves spending more time together. What started as casual afternoons of apple picking or walks around town gradually became more intentional. They'd text almost daily, exchanging recipes, sharing photos of their autumn-themed baking attempts, and coordinating playdates so Nina could spend time with Lila's niece Ava. One Saturday, Lila invited Harper and Nina to a local harvest festival. It was a chilly, cloudless day, and the town square was alive with laughter, the aroma of roasted chestnuts, and families gathered around makeshift booths selling handmade crafts and produce. Harper arrived bundled in a cozy wool sweater, Nina holding her hand and skipping excitedly beside her. Lila waved them over, her heart warming at the sight of them. "Hey, you two. Ready for some serious fall fun?" They wandered the festival together, letting Nina stop to paint a pumpkin and play the ring toss game while they sipped hot cider. Harper and Lila moved through the crowd with the kind of easy companionship that was becoming second nature. Lila found herself relishing every small moment. The way Harper laughed when Nina tried on a too big knitted hat. The soft way her eyes crinkled at the corners when she smiled. "Let's go to the corn maze," Nina exclaimed after they'd tried nearly every booth. They agreed, and soon, the three of them were winding their way through the towering corn stalks, laughing at wrong turns and cheering when Nina led them through narrow passages. At one point, as they reached a particularly tricky dead end, Harper and Lila found themselves standing close, barely inches apart, as Nina scrambled ahead of them. Their laughter quieted, and Lila felt the soft, electric pull of Harper's gaze. Harper brushed a loose strand of Lila's hair behind her ear. "I've really enjoyed this," she murmured, her voice warm and soft. Lila felt her cheeks heat up, and she replied quietly, "Me too." Their gazes lingered, filled with the warmth of shared understanding and something deeper that neither had yet put into words. Just then Nina's voice called out, "Mama, come on. I found the way out." They laughed, both a little breathless, and followed Nina, the unspoken moment hanging softly between them. By the time they made it out of the maze, dusk was settling, painting the sky in shades of pink and purple. As they walked back to the parking lot, Harper hesitated. "I hate to see this day end," she admitted, her voice almost a whisper. Lila swallowed, feeling bold in the soft twilight. "Then maybe it doesn't have to. Are you and Nina up for a casual dinner? I make a mean butternut squash soup." Harper's face lit up, her smile wide and warm. "We'd love that." They spent the evening at Lila's cozy cottage, where a fire crackled in the hearth, and the scents of rosemary and sage filled the air as Lila prepared soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. Nina played with Ava in the living room, their laughter echoing through the small house. After dinner, with both girls finally dozing off, Harper and Lila sat together on the couch, wrapped in warm blankets and sipping tea. They talked about everything: their childhoods, the dreams they had, their journeys through life, and the unexpected way they'd found each other. It felt like they'd known each other forever, like some invisible thread had connected them long before they'd ever met. As the evening stretched into the quiet of night, Harper finally turned to Lila, her voice soft. "I don't know if I've told you this, but moving here was hard. I didn't expect to find someone who would make it feel like home. But you have." Lila's heart thudded in her chest, and she reached over, taking Harper's hand in her own. "I think you and Nina were exactly what I needed too." They sat like that, fingers intertwined, the room silent except for the crackling fire and the soft breathing of the sleeping girls nearby. Neither knew what the future held, but in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of friendship, family, and the promise of something more, it felt like the beginning of a beautiful season, one that would last far beyond fall.